talking about the primary players, those that maybe will give Enable the most to do on Sunday.
And the 3-year-olds, traditionally, are the first place to look when it comes to winning the Arc, certainly in recent history. In terms of a rating, Japan has got 127 according to Timeform. That puts him certainly within grasp of the best older horses, including Enable herself, and that 127 is worth considering, especially when we take a deeper dive into what makes Japan. Now, I think that my initial thought with Japan is that this is supposed to be detailed analysis about this horse. But are we not seeing the wood for the trees? Because you take a step back and you look at him on the surface, trained by Aidan O'Brien, by Galileo, has won at Royal Ascot, has won a Grand Prix de Paris, has won a Juddmonte International.
Yeah.
Why isn't this horse favourite? Not favourite because of Enable, obviously, but normally horses like him are favourite in the race.
Now, throughout the season, you've championed this horse. You've said that you thought he was going to be the O'Brien leading classic 3-year-old colt, and that has proven to be the case.
Yeah. This is at Royal Ascot. This is the point of takeoff for Japan. I'll ask you to highlight him, but only when we're on the crown of the bend. So where's the winner right now, Alex? Nearest to you. So Japan has had to go, that's 7 or 8 wide because there's gaps in the field. This was a statement of faith by Ryan Moore in how he rode him. Now, what's interesting is the stamina within that pedigree and the fact that if we go to and look at what's up here, the 2-furlong marker, and just look at Japan's position here. Still some ground to make up, even on Bangkok, who ran in the Derby himself. Watch what happens with Japan from this point forward. Edges right, a sign of immaturity and inexperience, but all the while powering on. And Ryan Moore, hands and heels, a man who's riding him with an eye to the future even then. Now, Japan's had to rush his way through his early life. 3 runs within a month at 2. Rushed to the Derby within 2 weeks of the Dante. Then did this just 3 weeks after the Derby, where he finished close up. So the point with Japan is that from even before this, I'd say, he's had the Arc on his mind, or certainly Aidan O'Brien has. So do you think that was part of the play of going over the Grand Prix de Paris?
Yeah, I think it's good to get a bit of track craft, as you would call it, doesn't it? You know, and that certainly helped, and it's vital experience as well. And
just learning about the horse and letting the horse learn about racing, which includes going over for the Arc. And look at his position there, Alex, much closer to the pace. So they're trying to work out what Japan is best at and what he's doing. So this is about, again, race management from Ryan Moore. The horse isn't flashy this day, just does what he's asked. But all the while you're thinking, right, there's a plan in place, and the whole point of this horse is that he's making the perfect approach to an Arc. This is probably the first time, the last few months in the horse's career, that he's able to go on and have a real plan in place. And what happened after he won the Grand Prix de Paris?
He went to York.
He went to York over 10 furlongs and beat Crystal Ocean, which surprised me, but that's the beauty of being a 3-year-old and the beauty and the magic of Aidan O'Brien, that he can go in the deep end against an older horse who gave Enable all that she could handle, remember, and beat him over 10 furlongs. So I think the point with Japan is that every time we've seen him, there's been a distinct plan in place, and I would say there's been 3 phases in his career, Alex. Firstly, as a 2-year-old, phase 1. And look at what happened when he went from 7 furlongs to a mile. The extra distance made for a huge leap in Timeform ratings. Phase 2 was this summer, where he went from 111 in the Dante up to 1.5 miles and 122 in the Derby. And then phase 3 has been all about the Arc. So if he's running to 127 over 10 furlongs at York, knowing his history of improving as he goes up in trip, what's going to happen when he goes back over 12 at Longchamp?
Well, the most likely scenario is you're going to get a little bit more of that.
See, that's the interesting point with Japan, isn't it? That right through his career, we can see this chart of progress, the trajectory, all leaning, all working towards one day, because this horse has got the Arc in his blood as well. Worth just highlighting Japan's pedigree, Alex.
Well, you mentioned he'd got a stellar pedigree, and you won't be surprised to hear that with that pedigree, he cost 1.3 million guineas as a yearling, because Shastai the Dam has been a real money spinner for connections.
Shastai's been a real money spinner. Galileo, the most important sire right now. Urban Sea, an Arc winner herself. So we've got a pedigree that's all about the Arc. Not only that, but Saganisa, she has produced an Arc winner already in Sagamix. So the Arc is running through Japan's blood. He's had one day in mind, he's had one race in mind, he's bred for the Arc, he's been trained for the Arc, and if he's running to 127 over 10 furlongs, he's going to worry an able for going back over 12. So that's the story of Japan and the threat that he poses.
Yeah, it sure is. He's a big threat. Let's see.